The footsteps started at exactly 11:43 p.m. on July 16, 1977. Not one set, many, heavy, deliberate, circling my cabin in the darkness. I was 42 years old, alone in the Montana wilderness, and I'd just done something that afternoon I still couldn't fully process. I'd pulled a drowning baby out of Blackfoot River. Small thing, maybe 3 feet tall, covered in wet brown fur. Not human, not animal. Something between, something impossible. I'd done CPR, brought it back from death. Watched it run into the forest before I could stop it. Now it was night, and many somethings were walking around my cabin. Slowly, methodically, creating a perimeter, not attacking, not threatening, just present, surrounding me. And with each footstep that shook my floorboards, with each shadow that passed my windows, I realized the family had found me, the baby's family, and I had absolutely no idea if they'd come to thank me, or to judge whether the human who'd touched their child deserved to live. My name is James Morrison. I'm 76 years old now. This story is about the most terrifying and most beautiful night of my life, about being judged by beings we don't acknowledge exist, about trust earned through action, and about the moment when an entire family of Sasquatch surrounded my cabin and made me understand exactly how fragile the line between human and wild really is. July 16, 1977. I was 42. I'd been living alone in my cabin on the Blackfoot River in Montana for 3 years, trying to escape a failed marriage, failed career, failed life, really. I was a geologist by training, but after my wife left and my company downsized, I'd taken what savings I had and bought a remote cabin. Just me and the wilderness, simple life, quiet life, healing life, I hoped. That afternoon was hot, mid-90s. I'd been working on repairs to my porch, sweating, thinking about taking a swim in the river to cool off. Then I heard it. Splashing, violent splashing, and a sound I'd never heard before, high-pitched, panicked, desperate. The sound of something drowning. I dropped my tools, ran toward the river. The Blackfoot was running fast that summer. Snowmelt from the mountains made it dangerous. People drowned in it every year. But I was a strong swimmer, had lifeguard training from my college days. If someone was in trouble, I could help. I reached the riverbank, looked for the source of the splashing, saw something in the water about 20 yards out, small, struggling, being swept downstream by the current, heading toward rapids that would kill anything caught in them. I didn't think, just reacted, kicked off my boots, dove in. The cold hit me. Snow melt is maybe 50 degrees even in July, but I pushed through, swam hard towards the struggling figure. As I got closer, my brain tried to process what I was seeing. Too small for an adult, too large for a normal child, wrong proportions, covered in fur. What was it? No time to figure it out. It went under. I dove, felt around in the murky water, touched something, grabbed, pulled, got it to the surface. It wasn't fighting anymore, limp, not breathing. I got it to shore, dragged both of us onto the rocky bank, and that's when I got my first clear look at what I'd saved. Maybe 3 feet tall, probably 40 pounds, covered in light brown fur that was darker when wet. Face remarkably human, small nose, expressive features, mouth and eyes that were clearly intelligent, but the proportions wrong. Brow ridge heavier than human child, ears slightly pointed, hands larger with thick fingers, feet with odd structure, more flexible, adapted for climbing. A baby Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever term you want, impossible but real, lying on the riverbank, not breathing, dying right in front of me. Every reasonable part of my brain screamed, impossible, doesn't exist, you're hallucinating from the heat. But my eyes knew what they saw, and my lifeguard training kicked in. Drowning victim, not breathing, need to act immediately. Now. I started CPR, tilted the head back. The next structure was close enough to human. Cleared the airway with a finger sweep, water and river debris came out. some small rocks, plant matter. Checked for breathing. Put my ear to its mouth. Nothing. No air movement. No breath sounds. Started chest compressions. Positioned my hands on the small chest. The rib cage was tiny under my palms. I had to be careful. Too much force would break ribs. This was a baby, regardless of species. Not enough force wouldn't restart the heart. I found the rhythm. 30 compressions, fast, steady, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting in my head. Trying to remember everything from training decades ago. Stop. 2 rescue breaths. The mouth was different than human, wider, flatter, adapted for different vocalization maybe, but close enough. I sealed my mouth over it, breathed, watched the small chest rise. Good. Air was getting in, breathed again. Chest rose again. Back to compressions, 30 more. Pressing, pressing, pressing. Come on, breathe, live. Don't die on this riverbank. You're too young, too small. Please don't die. Another cycle. Compressions, breaths, compressions, breaths. My arms were burning. My lungs were burning from breathing hard at altitude, but I didn't stop, wouldn't stop, couldn't stop. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. How long had it been underwater before I grabbed it? 2 minutes? 3? At what point was brain damage inevitable? At what point was it too late? Then, a cough. Weak, sputtering, but a cough. Water expelled from its lungs, the small body convulsing as it tried to clear its airway. I rolled it onto its side immediately. Recovery position. Let gravity help. More water came up. Clear river water mixed with mucus. Then, gasping. A real breath, ragged but independent. The small chest moving on its own, drawing air in, expelling it. Again, rhythm establishing. It was breathing. It was alive. Its eyes opened, glazed at first, unfocused, looking at nothing, then sharpening. Pupils dilating, focusing, looking around confused, disoriented. Where am I? What happened? Then focusing on me, on my face, on the human who was leaning over it, whose wet clothes matched its wet fur, who'd just been breathing into its mouth, who'd brought it back from death. We stared at each other for a long moment. Human and Sasquatch. 42-year-old failed geologist and baby cryptid. 2 impossible beings, connected by one desperate moment of drowning and rescue. I saw intelligence in those eyes, clear intelligence, awareness, consciousness, processing what had happened. Understanding at some level that it had almost died, that this strange creature had saved it. Confusion, gratitude, fear, all cycling through its expression. Then I heard it, from the forest behind me, vocalizations, deep, urgent, multiple voices, different pitches, calling, searching, getting closer. The family, looking for their baby. Probably had been looking for hours, panicked, desperate, the way any parent would be with a missing child. The baby heard them too. Its head snapped toward the sound, made sounds back. High-pitched, distressed but alive. I'm here, come find me. The vocalizations from the forest got immediately closer, louder, more urgent, running, crashing through undergrowth, coming fast. The baby looked at me one more time. Something in its eyes, gratitude, confusion, acknowledgement, an expression I couldn't fully read, but felt universal. Thank you. I don't understand you. But thank you. Then it scrambled up, still weak, stumbling, but moving, alive, running toward its family's calls, disappearing into the dense forest within seconds. I sat on the riverbank, soaking wet, clothes heavy with water, shaking from adrenaline crash and cold, trying to process what had just happened. I'd saved a baby Sasquatch, done CPR on a creature that science said didn't exist, brought it back from literal death. Felt its small chest restart under my hands, watched those impossible eyes open, and now it was gone. Back to its family, back to a world I'd never be part of. I heard more vocalizations in the distance, multiple voices, adults, deep, powerful calls. Then one high-pitched response, the baby, reuniting with family. The relief in those sounds was universal. Transcended species, transcended language, pure joy, pure relief. A parent finding their lost child alive. A family made whole again. I stood up, my legs shaky, started walking back to my cabin, left wet footprints on the rocks, left a puddle on my porch, changed into dry clothes. My hands were still shaking. Made coffee but couldn't drink it. Made dinner but couldn't eat. Just sat on my porch as the sun set, watching the forest, trying to convince myself it had been real, that I hadn't hallucinated from heat and isolation, that I'd actually just done what I thought I'd done. As darkness fell, the forest felt different, not empty like it usually did, occupied, watched, aware. I'd interacted with something that lived there, something intelligent, something that now knew I existed, knew where I lived, knew what I looked like, knew I'd touched one of their young. I went inside as full darkness arrived, locked my door, something I almost never did. The wilderness was safe, but tonight it felt different. Tonight I'd crossed a boundary I hadn't known existed. Tonight I was aware, profoundly aware, that I wasn't alone out here, that I shared this forest with others who were now aware of me. I tried to sleep. Couldn't. My mind kept replaying the afternoon, the feel of that small chest under my hands, cold, still, not moving. Then, miracle, starting to move, starting to breathe, those eyes opening, the intelligence in them, the impossibility of it all, the reality that I could no longer deny. I lay in bed, staring at my ceiling, listening to normal night sounds, insects, frogs, distant owl, creek flowing, normal. Everything was normal. I was safe. This was fine. Then, at exactly 11:43 p.m., I know because I looked at my clock, the footsteps started. Heavy, deliberate, unmistakable. Outside my cabin, not random, not wandering, walking in a circle, slow, methodical, around my entire cabin, creating a perimeter surrounding me. I sat bolt upright in bed, heart immediately pounding, grabbed my flashlight from the nightstand, turned it on. The beam did nothing to make me feel safer, just illuminated my small bedroom, made the darkness outside the window seem darker by contrast. The footsteps continued, circling. I could track them by sound, starting from my back wall, moving to the right side, around to the front door, to the left side, back around, completing the circle, then starting again. And now that I was listening, really listening, I realized not just one set, multiple sets, different weights, different rhythms, some heavier, some lighter, some with different gait patterns. Not one creature, many. A group, a family. They were surrounding my cabin, all of them, walking in coordinated pattern, making sure I knew they were there, making sure I understood I was encircled, trapped, at their mercy if they chose. My mind raced with terror and possibility. The family. They'd tracked me. The baby must have communicated somehow what I looked like, where I lived, led them back here, and now they were here, all of them, encircling me. But why? To thank me, to assess me, to determine if the human who'd touched their baby, put his mouth on their baby, was a threat? Was this gratitude or judgment? The footsteps continued for minutes that felt like hours, slow, patient, not rushing, not attacking, just present, surrounding, making their presence absolutely known. I was being assessed, evaluated, judged, by beings I couldn't see, by a family protecting one of their own, deciding if I was safe, if I could be trusted, if I deserved to live after what I'd done. I stood in the center of my cabin, flashlight in one hand, other hand shaking. My rifle was leaning against the wall 10 feet away. I could grab it, could try to defend myself, but what good would it do? I was surrounded by, 7, 8, 9 of them? If they wanted me dead, I'd be dead. The rifle wouldn't save me, would probably just guarantee my death, would turn judgment into execution. So I did the only thing that made sense. The only thing that felt right. I walked to my door, put down my flashlight, and opened it. The footsteps stopped instantly, complete silence. Even the normal night sounds, the insects, the frogs, the creek, went quiet. Everything was listening. Everything was waiting, watching. This was the moment, the decision point. What would the human do? How would he respond? I stepped onto my porch. No flashlight, no weapon, just me, hands visible, empty, non-threatening. I stood there in the darkness, surrounded by presence I couldn't see but could feel, surrounded by judgment I couldn't appeal but could only accept. "I know you're out there," I called into the darkness, my voice shaky but clear. "I know you're the family, the baby's family. I saved it today, from the river. It was drowning. I pulled it out. I brought it back. I didn't hurt it, I promise. I just wanted to help. I couldn't let it die. I'm sorry if I did something wrong. I'm sorry if I shouldn't have touched it. But I couldn't watch it drown. I couldn't. I had to help." Silence. Long silence. Then, movement. Shadows separating from shadows. Massive figures stepping out of the tree line, into the clearing around my cabin, forming a visible circle. 7, 8, 9 of them. I couldn't count exactly. Too dark, too overwhelming. Different sizes. Some enormous, 8, 9 feet tall. Some smaller, maybe 6 feet, juveniles probably. Some with builds that suggested males. Some with slightly different proportions that suggested females. A family. An entire family, surrounding me, visible now, making themselves known. The largest one, easily 9 feet tall, shoulders broader than a refrigerator, arms like tree trunks, stepped forward, leader, alpha, protector, father maybe. He stopped 10 feet from my porch. We looked at each other, me small and fragile on my wooden porch, him massive and powerful in my clearing, moonlight catching his dark fur, his eyes reflecting my cabin's lamplight. Intelligent eyes, assessing eyes, judging eyes. He made a sound, deep, rumbling, starting in his chest, not aggressive, not threatening, but questioning. "Show me. Prove what you say. I need to see the truth. I need to know you didn't hurt my child." I gestured desperately, to myself, to the river direction, made swimming motions with my arms, pointed to my chest, mimicked CPR compressions, hands pumping, then breathing, mouth-to-mouth gestures, brought my hands up like lifting something small, tried frantically to communicate through pure gesture, baby in water, drowning, going under. I swam out, grabbed it, pulled it to shore. It wasn't breathing. I did this, compressions and this, breaths. Brought it back, saved it, didn't hurt it, saved it. I swear I saved it. The leader watched every gesture, processing, understanding more than I would have thought possible, reading my body language, my desperation, my sincerity, deciding. Then he made another sound, different tone, softer, and the circle parted. 2 figures came forward. A female, maybe 7.5 feet tall, slightly smaller build but still massive. And with her, partially hidden behind her legs, the baby, my baby. The one I'd pulled from the river, alive, healthy, dry fur fluffed up, clinging to its mother's leg, alive, actually alive. I'd succeeded. It had survived. The mother approached slowly, cautiously, protective, every step deliberate, assessing me, reading me, deciding if I was safe for her baby to approach. She stopped 5 feet from my porch, made a sound to the baby, low, encouraging, reassuring. "It's okay. This is the one. This is safe. Go ahead." The baby peeked out from behind its mother's massive leg, saw me, made a sound, recognition. The human from the river, the one who'd helped, the one whose face I remember. The baby left its mother's side, approached my porch cautiously, climbed the 2 wooden steps, each step deliberate. Careful, came right up to me. Reached out one small hand, so much like a human child's hand, but not quite. Touched my leg, gently, deliberately. then looked up at me. Those eyes, so intelligent, so aware, looking into mine. Thank you. I remember you. You brought me back. I was dying and you brought me back. I knelt down, put myself at its level, eye to eye. You're okay, I whispered, voice cracking with emotion. I'm so glad you're okay. I'm so glad you survived. The baby made soft sounds. Comfortable sounds, happy sounds. No fear, only recognition and what I swear, absolutely swear, was gratitude. Then it did something that destroyed me completely. It hugged me. Small arms wrapped around my neck, warm body pressed against mine, fur soft against my face. Trusting me, thanking me, acknowledging what I'd done in the only way it knew how. I heard a sound from the mother, looked up. She was making vocalizations to the leader, to the whole family gathered around, speaking, explaining, confirming. Her body language, her tone, it was clear. Yes, this is the human. My child confirms it. He saved them. He brought them back from death. He's safe. He's good. We can trust this one. The leader approached closer, each massive footstep shaking the ground slightly, stopped right at the edge of my porch, looked down at me, at his child, it must be his child, still hugging me, and made a decision. He reached out one massive hand, slowly, carefully, deliberately, and touched my shoulder. Gentle despite the overwhelming power, despite the fact that he could crush me without effort. A gesture of acknowledgement, of thanks, of acceptance. You saved one of ours. You're family now. You're under our protection. You're one of us. Then he pulled something from a pouch he wore, fashioned from hide, hanging at his side. A carved piece of wood, still fresh, wood chips visible, obviously just made. Simple, but deliberate carving. Two figures, one large and unmistakable, Sasquatch. One small, the baby, and between them a third figure, medium-sized, clearly human, arms extended, touching the small figure, saving it. They'd made this, in the hours since the rescue, created art commemorating what I'd done, preserving the memory, making it permanent. And now they were giving it to me, making me part of their story, part of their history, part of their family. The baby released me, returned to its mother. She scooped it up, held it close, pressed her face against its small head. Relief, love, gratitude. She looked at me one more time, made a sound, low, emotional, grateful. Her eyes, so human in that moment, saying what words couldn't. Thank you for giving me my child back. Thank you for the gift of more time together. Thank you for not walking away. Thank you for caring. The family gathered, prepared to leave. The judgment was complete. The assessment was made. I'd been found acceptable, found trustworthy, found worthy of protection and connection. But before they left, something remarkable happened. Each member of the family approached, one by one, making their own acknowledgement. The juveniles, two of them, maybe 5 feet tall, touched my hand gently. Curiosity in their touches, wonder, acknowledgement. This is the human who saved the baby. Remember him. Remember his scent. Remember his face. He's safe. He's family. The females, 3 of them besides the mother, nodded to me. Respectful gestures. Acknowledgement of what I'd done. Acceptance of who I was. You helped one of ours. That makes you one of ours. The males, 2 besides the leader, touched my shoulder, the same gesture the leader had made. Acceptance into something. Protection granted. Connection established. You're under our care now. No one will harm you here. This is your home. It's protected. Then they walked back into the forest, all 9 of them, moving silently despite their size, disappearing into darkness within seconds, like ghosts, like they'd never been there. Except for the carved wood in my hand, except for the feel of that baby's hug, except for the touch of that massive hand on my shoulder, except for the complete certainty that everything had changed forever. I stood on my porch until dawn, couldn't go inside, couldn't move, processing, the rescue, the encirclement, the judgment, the acceptance. I'd been surrounded by a family of Sasquatch, 9 of them, assessed, tested, and found worthy, accepted into their world, protected by them, connected to them in a way I'd never be connected to my own species again, made family through one act of desperate compassion. I'm 76 now. That was 47 years ago. I never saw that family again directly, never saw them gathered like that night, never experienced that overwhelming presence surrounding me. But I've seen signs, evidence that they remember, evidence that the acceptance holds. Over the decades, I've found gifts. Deer meat left at my property line, always fresh, always when my supplies were low. Fish cleaned and gutted, arranged on my porch, berries in season gathered and left in neat piles. Someone was watching over me. Someone was making sure the human who saved one of theirs was okay, was cared for, was protected. 3 times over the years I've been in danger, once from a grizzly that got too close, heard massive vocalizations from the forest, territorial, warning. The bear fled immediately. Something bigger had claimed this territory, had claimed me. Once from hunters trespassing, heard them talking about tracking an elk onto my property, then heard sounds surrounding them. Multiple sources. The hunters panicked, ran, left the area completely. The family had circled them, protected their territory, protected me. Once from a bad fall, slipped on ice, broke my leg, couldn't get up, was losing consciousness from pain and cold, woke up near my door, had been moved, carefully, gently. Someone had found me, carried me, saved me the way I'd saved their baby, debt repaid, connection honored. That carved piece sits on my mantel. I look at it every day, have looked at it every day for 47 years. A reminder that connection transcends species, that actions matter more than words, that we're judged not by our intentions, but by our choices. That one moment of desperate compassion can create bonds that last a lifetime. That sometimes, impossibly, beautifully, we're given the chance to do something that echoes across decades, across families, across the boundary between human and wild. I saved a drowning baby Sasquatch in 1977. The next night, its entire family surrounded my cabin, not for revenge, not for violence, for judgment, to assess whether the human who'd touched their child, who'd put his mouth on their child, who'd done something impossible and intimate, whether that human could be trusted, whether that human deserved to live in their forest. And finding that I did, finding that my actions spoke louder than my species, they gave me something precious beyond measure: acceptance, protection, connection, a place in their story, a role in their memory, a bond that's lasted 47 years and will last until the moment I die. A family that's not my species, but is more my family than any human could ever be again. That's not myth. That's not legend. That's what really happened when I jumped into cold water to save something impossible. When I did CPR on a creature that shouldn't exist. When I brought it back from death and asked for nothing in return. And was rewarded with something even more impossible. A family of Sasquatch calling me one of their own. Protecting me, remembering me, making me part of their world forever. Sometimes the greatest honor comes from the ones we'd never expect, from beings we don't acknowledge exist, who see us more clearly than we see ourselves, who judge us by our actions alone, and finding us worthy, give us the gift of belonging, of family, of home, in a way we never imagined possible.